Hey, it's Chrissy and Amanda.
Two girls from Saskatchewan, Canada, living the Reiki life while working the 9 to 5. Hey everyone, welcome into March. You are here with me and Christy, of course. I guess it's mid-March now. And we've had some exciting things going on our end. I had my baby. So we are doing, we had a couple interviews recorded just for this purpose in case I didn't have time to do a fresh episode. Me and Christy have one in the bank, but we still need to record it. But anyway, so yeah, things are going good on our end and I'm learning to adjust. Hopefully you saw my update on Instagram if you follow us on there. And yeah, just figuring stuff out with having two babies now instead of just the one. But Christy, welcome. How are things with you?
Yes, hello. And Callie's here with us too, which makes it even extra special. I love it.
Yeah.
No, things are good over here. Just I've been doing a lot of Reiki sessions that have been really different, but I'm really enjoying the energy around them. So it's like I don't know how to explain. It's like I'm not doing the heavy lifting that I used to. Like I'm not doing the past lives, entities, like anything like that. It's like we're going in and I'm clearing everything out so you're able to hear your own inner voice. And then the spirit guides come in at the end because I set that intention. Like they can come through the Reiki session, but I leave 20 minutes at the end for them. So I just sit with them and they channel through me. And it just brings through such like good advice that people can use in that moment in their life. So it's not like it's surface level stuff. I still feel like I'm going deep and you're hearing things that you need to hear in that moment. But it's just so interesting how it has all shifted because I've paused my Akashic readings and now I'm doing these type of Reiki spirit guide session. And I'm just going with the flow. I don't really know where this is going to take me, but I'm really enjoying it right now. So
That's wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah. And obviously you were kind of it just found you that way. So that's what you should be doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too. And it just shows that like Reiki is such an anchor, like I went out on my path and I did the mediumship, the crystals, the Akashics, and then look at me and now I'm back at Reiki. And that's the only thing I'm really offering right now. And it's something that is really lighting me up. And I was going to text you, Amanda, but I didn't want to bug you. But after I finished a session, I was like, I feel so alive. Like I am not drained. I'm not like, oh my God, what just happened? Like I felt like on top of the world. So I was like, finally, like I'm not.
Oh, that's so good, right? Because you're drawing the information in.
Yes, it's coming to me and I'm not pulling and stretching and forcing. And it's just,
Yeah.
That was the best advice I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah. You'll hear that advice on a different interview we had, and it was gold.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy. Good. It's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Quick astrology update?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so we still have a new moon coming up on March 18th in Pisces. So again, Pisces is that moon card in the tarot deck. So really looking at like our shadow selves and going really deep even within ourselves and kind of figuring out like kind of those things that we hide behind the door. It was what I'm hearing here, those things that maybe we've stuffed away for so long. And now maybe it's time to kind of come and face our fears, face who we are. And two, the moon and Pisces are very intuitive signs. They're water signs as well. So you can really work with this new moon by one, healing those shadow selves and those emotional things that maybe we've kind of stored away. And it's a really good sign too to really work on your intuition and maybe healing those witch wounds that some of us have that maybe cut us a little short with wanting to really expand ourselves. Maybe there's like a fear base there, or we're scared of maybe what other people think, kind of like an emotional stint that we put ourselves through. So really use this new moon to kind of like draw in all those new seeds and what we really want to like work on in this period right now.
Yeah, that sounds lovely. Like, well, not like really exciting because shadow work can be a little bit heavy, but on the other side of shadow work, there's so much clarity. Like it's
Yeah.
so worth it to go in and do that work.
Yes, I agree. Absolutely.
And we have picked a date for our Reiki circle in March. So it is going to be Sunday, March 22nd at 10:30 Central Standard Time. So here in Saskatchewan, we do not change time. So make sure you check your clocks when you're booking in to come join us. So we look forward to you guys coming by and, just like holding that space and just answering each other's questions and building community. Yeah, I really look forward to these circles. So,
Yeah, me too. And Callie is probably going to be there. Not probably. She's definitely going to be there because I am exclusively nursing. So she's on demand right now. But yeah, come. It'll be great.
yeah, of course. And the link is in our bio on our Instagram. But if you do want us to send the link to you, you can always email us at livingthereikilife@gmail.com and we can send that link to you.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, let's get into this episode with Parita.
Yeah, this was such a good episode. It's one that if you're curious about Reiki and you're just kind of hearing that call, it's just a really good, I guess, a starting point to just hear her story and how she views Reiki and the benefits of Reiki. It just, yeah, I really enjoyed sitting down with her and listening to what she had to share. So I know you guys will enjoy it.
Yeah, great conversation just to connect with another Reiki practitioner. And yeah, you'll enjoy it for sure.
On today's episode, we have Parita Shah. She's a Reiki Master Teacher and an intuitive energy healer. She became interested in self healing when she realized that the stress of her health issues was causing more health issues. She was determined to break the cycle and find her center in the midst of health flares. So, since 2015, Parita has been practicing Usui Reiki. As her mind and spirit strengthened, her body also healed from countless symptoms. Thanks to the spiritual path, she is now able to meet symptoms and challenges with more mindfulness. Parita sees her health journey as a pathway to her purpose, helping others heal through the mind and body connection. Today, she offers live online Reiki Level 1, 2, and 3 trainings in small groups. She hosts the Light Embodied community for Reiki healers and offers one-on-one intuitive energy healing sessions. So we will link all of her information below in the show notes if you want to connect with her. But yes, welcome, Parita.
So, welcome, Parita. It's really nice to have you on the podcast, and we're so excited to talk to another practitioner, especially one that is reigning in New York. And of course, we just really want to talk about your personal healing journey and how Reiki found you. And you do a lot of very intuitive sessions, and we would just love to kind of hear a little bit about your story.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. And I personally found Reiki about, I would say, 10, 12 years ago. And I was diagnosed with celiac disease when I was 19 years old. I was a college student. I grew up pretty healthy and just took my health for granted. And very quickly, within just about 2 to 3 months, I started losing a lot of hair and losing weight. I was severely fatigued all of a sudden. And I developed so many symptoms. The list is just countless. And I started going from one doctor to the next, trying to figure out what was happening. It was very difficult to navigate the healthcare system and very difficult to understand what was happening. Even though it is a gastrointestinal disease, I actually didn't have gastrointestinal symptoms. And so it was a mystery. But I was lucky that I was even diagnosed in a few months because it usually takes people many years before they're diagnosed. And initially, I went through the medical route and tried some conventional treatments. The main one for celiac disease is really just a gluten-free diet. And of course, I still do that to this day, but I didn't get enough relief just from that. And so maybe as 6 months went by, I started figuring out some holistic treatments and alternative treatments, started working with a naturopathic doctor, and focusing a lot on my diet and supplements. And as the years went by, I realized that there was also a lot of stress contributing to the symptoms that I was having. As a couple years went by, I realized that it wasn't just the physical healing, but I needed to focus on the mental and emotional bit as well. And of course, going through this as a college student, it took a toll on, let's say, my identity and social life, and what I had planned for my future. And I didn't have a really quick recovery, so there was a lot of symptoms. A lot of emotions around being sick and all the changes that I was experiencing. So that's how I found Reiki. It was meant to be something that would help me with relaxing a bit more, finding my center, coping with the losses and the emotional setbacks, and a way to just ground myself, right? Find my sense of well-being. And as I practice, of course, as we all do, we notice that this truly works, truly changes our life in more ways than we can measure and more ways than we can even imagine initially. And so it really helped me to deal with some symptoms and some physical things that were going on, but also just identifying with myself again, and the transitions that I had. And it helped me to develop my intuition, which was something that was really just a byproduct of this work. I didn't grow up feeling intuitive or sensitive, but it's something that opened up as a result of this work.
Okay. Yeah, it's so fascinating to hear how Reiki find someone, and a lot of the times it is when we've tried all these different things and nothing has worked, and then all of a sudden Reiki appears in our life. And I just really love that. It's like I feel like it finds you when it's supposed to. So when you were moving through this, were you doing a lot of like self-Reiki, or were you doing Reiki sessions? How did that all look?
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting as well, because the first time someone mentioned Reiki to me, I really didn't even understand the concept of it. And so I looked up online that like it's this energy practice. And so the only energy I could think of was like physical energy. But then I realized I was reading and I'm like, okay, it's not that, but I also couldn't wrap my mind around what it actually was. And so like a little bit later on, I saw that there was a Reiki circle happening near me. And it was at a yoga studio that I was already going to. So I went there, and we're all lying down on our mats, and we're in Savasana, and the practitioner came around, and of course her hands were warm. I was like, her hands are warm like a radiator. And it was something that I couldn't wrap my mind around, because we grew up here in the West, and we just don't conceptualize that something like that is possible. And so that little bit just got me curious that, okay, there's something going on here. There's something happening, something real, tangible. And, people's hands don't just warm up like a radiator casually. So I felt the energy just moving through my body, and it was enough of an experience to just lead me forward. It piqued a curiosity in me to keep exploring that. And then I was working with an integrative medicine practitioner at the time, and she had a background as a physician's assistant in a hospital, and then did a PhD, well researched, and she was actually practicing Reiki with her clients. So that gave me the understanding that there's something to this, and someone who has a lot of scientific training wouldn't be practicing this if it was nothing. And so that also gave me a little bit more confidence to explore this. And then she actually ended up having a training at her office with her teacher, who she had learned Reiki from. And so that's how I got started. I trained in level 1. And at this point, it was very much just for myself. It was meant to be this practice where I could maybe get rid of the occasional symptoms that I was having, whether it was like back pain or, let's say, some headaches. It was really meant to be a way for me to maybe not have that severe fatigue that I was dealing with. And I did not see myself becoming a practitioner for others. I definitely did not see myself pursuing this as a career.
How long did it take, Parita, for your body to become or feel better again? Like when you were having all the celiac symptoms and all that with the hair, like how long did that take you?
Yeah, I think that's really important to talk about because honestly, it took me years. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah. And so when I was diagnosed, a lot of people, including doctors and people who had celiac disease, they had told me that once you go gluten-free, you will respond in just weeks and you will feel better than you've ever felt in your life because now you're off of this thing that you were almost quote unquote allergic to, although it's not a true allergy. And the truth is, I did not feel like myself for years. But now that I talk to people more, I realize that we're all so unique. And the journey is just so different for different people. And I think this is also similar to our Reiki journeys, right? When you get started, you don't see immediate results that are only positive. There's some changes that happen for the better. There's some element of being uncomfortable as the healing is happening as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of I haven't had a lot of sessions that have been like this, but I have had clients come back and actually say they feel worse after the Reiki. And at the beginning, it used to freak me out, right? Because I'm thinking, what did I do? And I was really panicked and I wanted to send them more Reiki. And they were like, please don't. Right. But they're unpacking and unloading all the stuff now that has been hidden away for years that is now ready to be released out of the body. And unfortunately, it was kind of painful coming in and it's going to be the same thing coming out. But it's ready to be released now and you have to move through it again. So in a way, it's a painful gift to give yourself, but it has to come out that way sometimes. And it is good to tell people that healing, unfortunately, doesn't happen as instant as we would like. We're in such a time right now where we can only withstand, 30-second videos and we want instant things right now. And, we see a clip of somebody going through this massive transformation and healing thing. Well, that did not happen in course of weeks either. So we have to give ourselves grace and just know that those little things that we're moving towards are making big differences. They really are.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really important to realize that this is a path. It's like a journey and it's meant to be walked over time, really like a lifetime. And it's not something that we can just get instant results, right? It's not about having one session and, expecting like some miraculous results. It's not like pressing a button and receiving something immediately, but instead it's about letting yourself have this period of self-awareness, self-awakening. It's about knowing yourself and working through your inner shadow, right, over time. And these are things that we get to do for a lifetime. It's not a chore, it's not a burden, but it's actually like this fun exploration that we get to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a beautiful way to look at it. When I move through something that is really hard and then something else comes up and it's like, oh man, here we go again. But when you look at it as a different perspective, like, what am I learning? What am I moving through? Like, you look at the positive side, and I always know on the other side, there's always so much clarity. And we shared on the podcast just previously, we talked about like self-Reiki and how I was getting into more of a practice in the morning because I've gotten away from it. And it's so crazy because I know how good self-Reiki feels. And it's like, why can't I keep up with it and just, get in that rhythm? I'm not consistent with anything in my life, but I feel like, if you could dedicate like 10 minutes in the morning to a Reiki practice, like a self-Reiki, and just get that going, I feel like that would be really like substantial. Like, I think you would notice a difference. And I was telling myself I should start with 7 days and just see how I feel, and then go 14 days and just kind of journal my journey. And I wanted to ask you, like, what kind of tips do you have for like sustaining that daily practice and like structure? And like, what do you do like in your journey? Like, do you have a routine? And yeah, sorry, I'm asking like 5 questions at once.
No, no worries. I appreciate it. And this is really important because it is all about first managing your energy and, knowing yourself rather than, trying to hold space for others. It's beautiful if we get to do that. And eventually, that might be a part of your journey. But first, we have to have that really strong foundation of our self-practice. I would consider what time of the day works best for you, and also how long of a practice works for anyone that's listening, because some of us will do really good with shorter practices that are about 5-10 minutes long, maybe several times a day. Some of us will do better with a longer practice. And I would try to, of course, get to it every day, but the length of it and the frequency really depends on people's schedule. And it's not always necessary that we do this work in the morning or right before bedtime. You can also do this, let's say around 5 p.m. or lunchtime, and you kind of have to tune into your needs. And this is something that's changing often for myself when my schedule changes and, our responsibilities change. So I have to constantly tweak this based on the rest of my day. And I would also consider incorporating a few different elements of the practice, right? So it's not just about hands-on healing, but also meditation, the precepts, maybe the symbols, just mindfulness in general. I think that sometimes we put too much emphasis on hands-on healing and we can forget some of the other elements, but really they create harmony together. So if you're living into the precepts, you're going to have a better flow of energy because your mind will be in a greater place, right? And you will naturally be able to drop into meditation more if you are living with that sense of mindfulness. So just consider how you can bring some of those other elements of the practice together as well. And then I would also just like keep a log of your experiences, even if it's just 1 or 2 words before you get started, maybe a few words, a few sentences after you're done. Just a little bit of like a before and after journal. And I think that this will help to encourage us and keep us on the path. First of all, even if you just date it, you're going to like acknowledge that you showed up for your practice. And it helps us to see the patterns, right? The ways in which we are growing over time, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. And so that will help us to just bring a little bit more encouragement and inspiration back to the practice. And, that gives us a reason to show up. And I think it also just gives a bit of validation to our mind when there are those days where we're like, is anything even changing in this practice? Am I even doing it right? It's nice to just flip back and see in your journal that maybe you relieved a headache, or maybe you just felt a sense of peace after a crazy day. And so those are a couple tips that I would recommend for the self-Reiki practice.
Yeah.
You, when you're doing self-Reiki, and I just thought of this now, every time I go to a yoga class, for example, they always say, hey, let's all set or think of an intention we want for our practice today. And I do that before I give a session. Do you ever do that before you do self-Reiki? Set an intention or have that mindfulness before you go in? Like sometimes I realize I'm just like I ground, I put up protection, and then I'm just kind of blank and I'm just allowing the energy to flow through.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really is about the intentionality, the mindfulness, um, and the presence that we bring. So you can even look at your Reiki practice as prayer through your hands, and really look at life that way too, right? Like it would be beautiful if we could just walk through the day as if it was a prayer. And of course, I don't mean to say that I'm living my life that way, but it's a nice intention to have. And yeah, so I like to start off my practices with like invoking the energy, and certain guides, certain beings of light that I like to work with, and just having even the simple intention that I'm open to healing, I'm open to seeing in a new way, or surrendering any challenge, right? Like leaving something on the altar that you've been maybe burdened by throughout the day. So the intention piece is huge. And in my sessions, whenever I notice that my mind is getting distracted, the intention helps me to come back. And so I will check in with myself and ask myself, okay, where am I going with this? And sometimes the intention is to focus on a symbol or a mantra, or sometimes it's to come back to my breath, come back to grounding. And yeah, so intention is everything for me.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes I forget how powerful intention is, just setting that. And it takes like 2 seconds, right? And it's just something that I know I should do more of. So have you noticed like any changes, like any of your students, like after they do, like say a 21-day self-Reiki, or like what kind of changes do you think people would notice?
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to the practice. And also, when you mention changes, it's also about, even again, that element of uncomfortableness, right? There's some changes that we don't love in the moment, but it's a part of the journey. And so it's worthy of us talking about it. Physically, Reiki helps us with all sorts of conditions that are rooted in stress, maybe nervous system dysregulation or trauma. And so the energy can help us in working through different aches and pains, countless symptoms, whether it's insomnia. It's been proven to help with certain hormonal imbalances. It can help to regulate cortisol, blood pressure, and even our heart rate. And it's something that has helped a lot of people, even in their recoveries, let's say with cancer or surgery. Of course, it's a complementary therapy that should be used in adjacent to proper care, right? Medical care. And emotionally, it can absolutely bring up a lot of healing. But at the same time, it brings us awareness to what's going on. And so you may notice that you're more aware of the negative emotions that you've been harboring and you've been maybe suppressing. So for a lot of people, Reiki can sometimes lead you to feel those darker emotions, but you're moving through them, right? The energy is always moving, and Reiki helps us to purify those lower vibrations. Mentally, it can do, something very similar where it can lead us to peace, more spaciousness in the mind, and more clarity. But at the same time, you become more aware of what you're holding mentally. And I think that this is a gift. It really works out for us long term. But in the short run, you may start to become aware of things that you were previously they were almost blind spots for you, right? Mm-hmm. And so you just have to ask yourself, like, do I want to be aware of my blind spots? A lot of people will hopefully say yes. And it's very similar energetically, right? I think that this work helps our chakras, our aura, and it can start to feel more strong, more magnetic, and but at the same time, you might start to feel a bit more sensitive, more empathic, and it's really also about how you perceive these things. I think that being sensitive, being empathic, is a sign that your heart is open and that you're willing to live like the full spectrum of life, right? You're willing to actually feel life. But at the same time, we need to learn how to manage the sensitivities, learn how to manage our energy and our empathy.
And, I wanted to, I find that it's a different energy when I'm doing self-Reiki as opposed to when I'm giving a Reiki session as the practitioner. And I've had a few of my students as well say this to me, that sometimes when they're doing self-Reiki, it's maybe like a 6 out of 10, maybe on the scale on how they're feeling the energy. But when they're giving a session, it's like a whole different ball game. What are your thoughts on that? And I actually completely agree with my students. Like, sometimes because us as a practitioner, we're receiving Reiki every time we give, right? That energy is running through us, our arms to our hands and out. And I find that I almost get like a high. Like, I've had even some really heavy sessions on my table where they're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you. Like, I'm so sorry I cried," or whatever. And I'm like, "I feel great. Like, I could go run a marathon right now. That's how much energy is just running through me." It's like, "What happened with you? I'm glad you had that release, but like, it didn't stick to me at all." And do you have any experience with that, or how have you noticed that with yourself?
Yes, absolutely. A student recently mentioned the same exact thing just about a week or two ago. And I was telling her that I think it's because when we're practicing Reiki on ourselves, we're very acclimated to our own energy and our frequency. But when we're practicing on someone else, we really feel that difference. Like we can really feel the biosen scanning, right? Or the hibiki, which is the sensations in our palms. And that's because their energy field just feels different from ours. And so sometimes we feel more sensitive to it. But I think and not even think, I feel it with certainty that the energy is always moving through us. And even when we practice self-Reiki, and it may feel subtle at times, but the energy is still pulsing through us, and it's still benefiting us. I think we tend to dismiss the experiences that we're having when it's our self practice. And so that's kind of why I like the log, where if you even just write a few words before and afterwards, it can help you to stay aware of how the practice is benefiting you. And yeah, it's really interesting because people often also, when they're giving so open-heartedly, like when they're being of service, and now this session is about someone else, I think that also allows us to channel more energy. Whereas when we're practicing for ourselves, we sometimes get caught up in what we want to experience. What is it that we are expecting from the session? And it just becomes a bit about the results. Whereas when we're practicing for someone else, it's more out of just being of service. That's kind of my take on it. Although some people will say that they're attached to the results either way. But yes, that's very common. People do tell me that they sometimes feel a bit more when they're channeling on others.
Yeah, that's like how when you pull cards for yourself, sometimes it's like, well, what am I reading this right? I don't know what's going on here because sometimes I find like I'm looking for a certain answer. And the thing about like Reiki is, I went through a time where I would doubt what I was doing. And I got to the point where I just like surrendered and was like, you know what? I'm just going to trust that whatever I'm doing in this moment is what is needed. And that just like, I was like, so much pressure was alleviated from me. And then I just trusted that Reiki will flow. It's just like building that relationship with it and just knowing to trust it and let it go. And something else we wanted to touch on was like energetic hygiene for practitioners, because we feel like this is very important. I know when like if I'm slacking, I feel like my sessions aren't like, they're still good, but I feel like they could be even better if I'm vibrating at that higher frequency. So it's like movement and water and eating all the good food, like all of the things. So what do you recommend for your students for energetic hygiene?
Yeah, I think that this is really important. A lot of people look at this as protection, and then sometimes that gets like fear-based, right? Oh, I need to protect my energy out of fear because I'm going to lose it, or someone's going to pour it into me. But really, I think energetic hygiene is like simple self-care, and it's as simple as like taking a shower. You don't do these things out of fear, you do it out of care. And because there has to be a little bit of just some ground rules, some care that you do for yourself, maybe before and after this practice, or just throughout the day, in order to take care of your energy. And so I like to work with crystals, especially crystals like selenite or hematite, even amethyst or rose quartz. I think those are really helpful for just keeping our energy balanced. And you can work with a selenite wand and just kind of comb through your aura with this beautiful like gift that we have from Mother Earth. And you can also keep these, like, let's say on your nightstand or on your desk in your car, right? That's just some of the most simple things that we can do. I also like to work with salt, like Himalayan salt, or just sea salt in general. That's really powerful. And so you can keep a bowl of that in your home and in different rooms. And then every so often you can bury the salt or dispose of it and, refresh that. I think as practitioners, we also have to just connect with Mother Earth, right? That is the one of the most powerful healers that we have. And you can do that even through your visualization, especially right now when it's like really cold here in New York, and I'm sure it is in Canada as well. Um, so it's not necessarily about spending so much time outside, but even visualizing nature is helpful. And it could also be as simple as an indoor garden, like an indoor plant. And yeah, just feeling the energy of Mother Earth pulsing through you. And then lastly, I think it really all comes back to our self practice. Like your energetic hygiene can be your daily practice. Um, and just having that intention that you're replenishing yourself with Reiki, it is something that is helping you to come back home to yourself. And so I like to do some techniques like Kinyoku-ho or dry brushing, or even Joshin Kokyuho. I think that cleansing breath is really helpful. And I like how no matter what your intention is, whether it's grounding, clearing, protection, even healing, all of these practices, they kind of take us back to the same thing at the end of the day. And it's not like you have to do a separate practice for different intentions. Really, we can go back to the basics and use some of these practices for so many different intentions.
Rita, have you ever used black salt? I actually keep black salt in my Reiki room. And I can't remember if I was called to that when I was meditating or if somebody, no, I can't remember how that came about. But I will bust that out when I like really need to clear some heavy stuff out. It's almost like my big weapon, the black salt. Have you
Wow.
ever worked with that?
No, I'm not familiar with the black salt. I'm gonna have to look this up and see where I can get some.
Honestly, this is probably just even bought off Amazon. Like it's called Kala Namek, and it's just my black salt that I will grind
Oh,
and
okay. That's
sprinkle.
funny. That's actually Indian. Um, so yeah, I have to, but I didn't know about using that for energetic healing. I've heard of Indians cooking with that. Um,
Mm-mm.
yeah, so I have to find out if we can use that for energy clearing as well.
Yeah, let me know if that resonates, or if you like, if when you get like a feel for to meditate with it, like let me know if that calls to you. I'm curious. Yes, if yeah, that would, but yeah. Um,
Yeah.
you talked about too about like grounding and just even like envisioning nature if you can't be outside. I think that's really important too when you're doing any kind of a self-care practice and practicing that hygiene. And I do that with my sessions as well. But I noticed too, you kind of mentioned on your website and things like that when you're giving attunements or on your Instagram about really getting into that beautiful space. And I kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit about giving attunements and how you kind of go about them in your way. Because I think every Reiki master has their own kind of way that they do it, whether, it's online, or they're giving one, or they're doing it in person. I know for me, I have this little like prayer that I say, I'm calling in all their angels and guides. I'm sending them so much love on their journey. And I'm so proud to be a part of it. Like I really get really like into it. I even like I remember getting really kind of like emotional for my first few because I was like, this is such an honor for me. So like, can you want to touch on like what you do and maybe for other Reiki masters out there too?
Yes, absolutely. It's one of the most beautiful parts of the practice, and just so it's such an honor. And I feel like you can share this thing that really initiated you onto the path and led to so much healing. And now you get to share that forward. And I love preparing for them. I feel like, again, it's another reason to like drop into my practice with even more commitment and dedication. And so I like to, of course, rehearse the ritual, right? Like you want to get really comfortable with the movements, the hand positioning, and the sequencing of it. Because I think once you get that down, then you can just be present for it. And then you can just enjoy the energy and like be with the student. And so I work on my grounding as I'm leading up to attunements. And um, again, it's the simple things like getting out in nature, staying hydrated. Um, and I also like to um, sometimes send distant Reiki ahead of time to the students and even the space, right? So even if it's virtual, I imagine us coming together in a sacred space and starting the energy work there. This is something that I learned from one of my teachers. And the idea is that you're starting the healing process for them so that they're not having a really jarring healing crisis or a really jarring healing reaction because of the attunement. And so you're starting to balance their energies ahead of time. And also, just like you're setting the space, you're bringing all of the souls together, which is also really important now when we have these Zoom classes. I do a lot of online classes, and it's bringing together so many different students from all walks of life. So, as a teacher, of course, I want the harmony between the students, and sending the distant Reiki to the class ahead of time helps to just have this flow. And I think it also magnetizes the right students into a particular class. So that's a little bit about how I prepare for the attunements.
Mhm.
Yeah, the attunements, like Amanda and I did ours together, and they're just something that is very special that we hold dear to our hearts. And what happened afterwards, and we shared that with each other because it was wild, especially after our first attunement. Did anything happen for you, like when you first went through that attunement? Like, did anything like blast open, or was it gentle, or how did that all play out?
Yeah, so it was interesting. I remember that I was seeing indigo in my third eye, and that was also very new to me. I didn't experience anything like that before. And I remember the next day I had a sore hip. So I'd kind of heard of this online that you can have these detoxes after a class, and so that kind of gave me the experience and helped me understand what that was about. And so again, it was just enough for me to realize that something was happening and something was changing. And for me, just like it was with the celiac disease, it was a very slow journey. And at times I felt like nothing was happening, but this work compounds, right? So every day, if you're only getting 1% better, over time, you're actually working through quite a bit. But at the time, I didn't notice that I was changing so much, or it didn't feel like enough. It always felt like I should be further along. But the attunement, the first attunement that I had, led me to also just have even 10, 15 minutes of peace in my day, especially in a time that felt very chaotic. And so that was very new for me at the time. It really gave me something to hold on to.
We should have asked you this right at the beginning. You have your Usui Reiki. Is that correct?
Yes, Usui Reiki. I started out by learning Usui Tibetan Reiki, and later on, I trained in Japanese Reiki. Usui Reiki Ryoho, and
Mhm.
so then I repeated all the levels in that lineage. And recently, I took another training, but all the lineages trace back to Usui Sensei.
Yeah, it's such a great foundation. And you probably got attunements through every course you took, right?
Yes, the trainings that I've taken, they all had the attunements. So, yeah, it's been like very transformative, of course. You know, the attunements just kind of change you from the inside out. And some of the changes really are noticeable weeks and months out. It's not always noticeable on the next business day. And so we kind of have to stay open, stay aware, and just notice how things unfold. And sometimes you see the changes in your relationships or how you're showing up in the world. It's noticeable in how you engage with your work or even friends. And sometimes it's like you're walking away from certain things. So it's not always the type of healing that you would expect. I think a lot of us are expecting that we're going to just feel healthier and happier, and like there's no price to pay along the journey, but there is, right? Like there is something that we have to give in order to be that happier and healthier self. And sometimes that means that we have to give up, let's say, relationships that aren't working or food that isn't working for our body, right? And Reiki can really help us to understand those things that aren't working for us. It's just, even if we don't want to hear it, it will make you aware of those things.
Yeah, 100%. It's like I picture the attunement like going into a dusty attic and that you haven't been there for a while and you're turning the lights on and you have your broom and you're dusting around, dust is flying around, you're looking in a trunk over here, you're finding memories, and it's just like things you forgot about are coming up to be processed. And yes, sometimes it can be overwhelming, but I like how you said it was subtle for you, like it happened over time. And that's part of the journey because then when you look back at you're like, holy cow, I'm not the same person I was a year ago when I first took that Reiki level 1. And I just love the idea of journaling that journey. I wish I would have journaled more looking back on it. So if there's anyone out there going through their level 1 attunement, definitely write things down. I think it would be really cool to look back on and just see what all unfolded.
And too, just like Christy and I have received quite a few attunements because we love to study Reiki. And I've had attunements in person, I've had them online, and honestly, I'm not addicted to them, but I think it's actually really good for us as practitioners to be getting those. And I know like in the Usui Reiki that I'm taught, it's actually like encouraged to get like many, and it's a good thing for your energy and just your levels, I guess. And it's just I think it's a really neat and interesting thing. And I am always taking note of how I feel after it too.
Yes. And, that reminds me when I first started receiving, the trainings in Reiki, there was a lot of emphasis on attunements, but I wasn't really introduced to the concept of Reiju. And then as I trained in Japanese Reiki, we were introduced to both the attunements and Reiju. which Reiju actually translates to attunement, so it can be a little bit confusing. But now I realize that, Reiju is meant to be shared pretty frequently and on a regular basis. And we're not meant to have these attunements as one-time rituals, right? It's not, again, like this button that we press and we get one result and it's like the experience, right? It's not just about becoming a practitioner overnight, but rather cultivating our energy over time, gently opening up our energy body over time. And it's meant to be this ongoing path. And actually, I have this community online of Reiki practitioners, and recently I've started sharing Reiju every week because it really is, first of all, such a beautiful ritual. And parts of the ritual actually help us to open up our awareness, like our perception, our speech, our heart, and even the hands, right? It helps us to share Reiki. And I see it as like this place of just shared presence where we get so still, so quiet, and people can just come and receive what they need in the moment. And there's nothing that they have to tell me, or, it's not like I'm giving them advice or anything like that. It's rather just this place where, on a soul level, we can all just be and experience the light together. It takes about 5 minutes. So first we do a guided practice, and we'll have a little bit of journaling, a community discussion, a sharing circle, and then at the end we have Reiju. And again, it takes 5 minutes. It's like this pure bliss, and then we log off and go to bed. So yeah, it's been really nice bringing that together. And I'm glad that you mentioned this experience of just having regular attunements, right? Being regularly in connection with this energy.
Yeah, and when you get a group together and that intention is set, I feel like it is like just amplified the energy. And like, are you doing like a group attunement, or are you going to each person?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. It is a group attunement, and so I share Reiki with everyone that is going to be there live or watch the replay. And so I set the space ahead of time, just like I mentioned earlier. And then when I'm sharing Reiju, it's me connecting with the whole group at once. And that is something that my ego kind of conflicted with earlier, because I felt like, is that presence? Is it not? How does that even work? And just like with a lot of things in the system, I've had to just experiment with it to realize that it works. Whether it was just practicing self-healing or distance healing, and then also distant attunements, and now distant attunements in groups. I've had to just try it to realize that our only limitation is our mind, and there's really nothing beyond that. So, yeah, it's been really powerful. And I would encourage practitioners, especially if you've done level 3, if you've learned Reiju, then give it a try with your friends, your colleagues, your students. And it really helps to kind of just energetically reset.
Yeah, I really love that. Amanda, I think we're going to have to look into that for our Reiki circles. I think that'd be a beautiful thing to bring in. And also the journaling. When you do the journaling in the Reiki circle, I think that's a great idea too.
No, I'm on board with you. And I think it's great, like to sit with yourself, sit with your higher self and be like, hey, like, is this something that I should do? Does it feel good in my body? And I too, I think like, people who aren't comfortable maybe receiving that, like they don't have to, like they can energy just sit there and just be in the Reiki energy. Like they don't have to receive anything they're not comfortable with, of course. But I actually really think it's a good idea. And especially to give people that, I don't know, like almost like energetic upgrade. I don't know if that's really the right word, but it's just, I think it's good. Like it feels good in my body, you saying that. So I'm going to just trust that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think you guys should experiment with it and, see how the community enjoys it. I've heard great things like it helps people with sleep, or just having less aches and pains. It helps to open up people's intuition over time, and also just helps them to drop into meditation on a deeper level. So, because a part of Reiju is this clearing of the energy body. And I think that just helps us to facilitate a deeper connection with Reiki.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love that.
Yeah, me too. I also feel like that's kind of a good place to wrap up, unless you had any more questions, Christy.
I think, yeah, we covered it all. The hour went really quick. Wow.
Yeah, it did go really quick.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on, Parita?
No, I think that this is a great place, and I'm excited to see how people can maybe reconnect with their practice and just reboot their practice if that's what they're in need of, or maybe just come back to themselves with like with more understanding. I would say approach all of this with a lot of gentleness, though, and let go of the harsh inner critic if there is one in you. If you're expecting big results, or I need to do more, I need to be more consistent, then see how you can practice this for self-care, right? It's not meant to be something that you kind of like use against yourself, right? Don't beat yourself up over your Reiki practice. This is really meant to be something that you use for self-care. So that element of forgiveness, grace, and gentleness is really important in this path as well.
Yeah.
What are your offerings right now? I know that you offer teaching online as well, and you obviously offer Reiki sessions, virtual or in person. Do you have anything else going on that we should mention right now?
Yeah, so I am enrolling a Reiki 1 training that's starting in March. I teach levels 1, 2, and 3 in 6-week formats online. So we get to explore the teaching slowly and we build our practice. The idea is that by the end of the 6 weeks, people will be able to really integrate the energy and also bring the practices into their daily life. It like builds a habit, right? And so people are more likely to walk away with a daily practice because they've been practicing it for 6 weeks now. So I teach Reiki online, and I also have this community, Light Embodied, that is open to practitioners of levels 1, 2, or 3. And that is where I host the weekly circle and offer Reiju. And yes, there are sessions. And besides that, I write a blog. So if you're looking for just more writings on these topics, whether it's Reiki, intuition, or chakras, then feel free to check that out as well. My website is paritashahhealing.com. And yes, I'd love to connect, whether it's through Instagram or online, in the ethers.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. And I'll make sure to link all that below so people can find you and check things out. And yeah, I think I'm going to come join one of your Reiki circles here.
Awesome. Yes, I'd love to. And if you guys practice Reiju with your community, I'd love to hear how that goes as well. And yeah, really appreciate you guys having these conversations and just making this work more known, more accessible for people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you as well for doing that. So good. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, it was so good to meet you. It was such a good conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. And it is Christy's turn to give us a card reading for the end of the episode, carry into the last half of March. So, Christy, what are the cards saying today?
Yeah, so I'm using the Angel Guide from Kyle Gray Oracle deck here. And it's funny, I stopped using this deck because I swore I pulled the same, like maybe 8 cards. And I got so sick of seeing those same 8 cards. But this time I got 3 that well, 2 of these I haven't seen before. So let's see what is going on. Okay, so the first one is opportunity and change. And this card, it's like a real spring vibe. Like it's really vibrant colors. She's holding a bird in her hand. And I just feel like, in the Northern Hemisphere, we are moving into spring in March, right? When this episode actually comes out. So it's just being able to, feel that change. Hold on, what's coming? So it's like you feel that change building. And you need to not force it and not put a timeline on it, is what I'm hearing. Because when spring comes, it comes on its own time, right? So the trees know when to start sprouting their leaves and the flowers know when to start growing back. There is no timeline. They just feel into when it feels right, if that makes sense. So just know that if there's an opportunity to change something, know that that door is open, and springtime is the perfect time to invite that change into your life. But then before you do that, what they're bringing me to is cut the cord. So this is the next card. So you need to cut your cords from where you're going to go to where you're going to be. So it's like they're bringing me also to like the physical space as well. And spring cleaning is coming up. So getting rid of clutter and, making room for that physical space to be cleared. So it's like having that balance between, the mind, body, the spirit, but also like our physical world, our mental world, and like, taking out the trash of our mental thoughts and journaling and doing all those things. So whatever comes up to you when I say cut the cords, trust that. So know if all of a sudden you thought of a draining friend you have, you need to cut the cords with her. Or if your mind went to, that office space, I really want to turn into a Reiki space, but it's full of junk, I need to clean that out. So it's just whatever you think of in that moment, trust that. Don't doubt it. Trust it. Trust what comes through. And then the last card here is the honesty and communication. And what I'm getting is like, where are you not being honest with yourself about an opportunity and a change? And it's just like, we need to sit with ourselves, and it's like I see somebody putting earmuffs on. And to me, that is like signaling, shutting out the outside noise and going within, embodying the truth within you. What is within you? The truth is in your heart, is what I'm hearing. But when we get so caught up in our day to day and we're on our phones and we're listening to music in the car, and then we come home and we have the TV on, it's like our spirit guides are trying to pick up the phone on that other line and have that communication with us. But when you are constantly bombarded with all this outside noise, you need to shut it off. So you need to put your earmuffs on. And it's funny, it's like the earmuffs are almost like, if you want to do that motion of sitting somewhere quiet and like pretending to put earphones on, and it's just like when you do that, you're tuning that outside noise, and it's like a sign to the spirit guides like, hey, I'm ready to hear that inner voice. So it's just a lot about clearing out the clutter to hear your inner voice, because everything we have is within us. This is a message that has been running through me for a very long time, and I've been telling so many clients, and it's such a cliche saying, but it's so true. But we just need to quiet our mind, clear the clutter to hear that communication. So, yeah.
It's funny, like ever since like having Callie, like when I was pregnant, I had stuff going on like in my earbuds all the time. But now that I've had her, all I want is that silence.
Oh,
It's just like everything has cleared out and I just feel so in my feminine. And I feel like that's such a feminine thing, is just like quieting down all that noise and just like being able to listen and stuff has such a good message. And too, with spring and like coming in and stuff, it's such a great timing and everything. Yeah, it's beautiful.
it is. That quietness is something that is just we forget what it feels like. Like me too. I would always
You
have
do.
something playing in my ear, and then at work one time, I like when I'm working from home, it was just silent. And I was like, "Oh, this is so nice." And your nervous system just like calms down and you're focusing on that present moment. And it's just, yeah, it's beautiful. I think sometimes we just need to be reminded of that.
Yeah. And then you know what? Then you just start to crave it after you
Yeah.
get it back.
Yeah. I need my quiet time.
Yes. It's awesome. Thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I think that's it for today. So you can find us at Living the Reiki Life on Instagram. And we, of course, have our personal pages, and mine is The Birch Soul. So you can find me over there.
Yeah, and I'm Reiki with Manda. So my booking is kind of closed for March, and I ended up booking off April as well. I did have a couple clients sneak in. I'll definitely honor those appointments. But if you do need something, just message me directly, because I just don't know what my schedule is going to look like, and I need to figure that out. So just gonna give myself some time and space here and let that work itself out. But yeah, DM me if you really need something pressing, and I'll be glad to oblige.
Yes. Sounds good. All right. So everyone have a good week. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.
1, 2,